Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Houston Texans 29-17. Jalen Hurts got it going. Well, got it going in sputters and starts, I guess. Miles Sanders also alternated between running through the Texans defense like butter and also, for some reason, at times unable to gain a yard. It was a weird game for the Eagles. It was kind of a down game, but in the end, it was plenty to get over the Texans. Not their best, but that's okay. They are 8-0, which used to be halfway to undefeated, but with the 17-game season, now we have to say the Eagles will be halfway to undefeated at halftime of their Week 10 game against the Commanders. The Eagles are favored by 14, and they did not cover that. The big story tonight wasn't really this game, which was a weird matchup in the first place, Eagles-Texans on Thursday Night Football, but it wasn't really this game. It was that this game was happening between Philadelphia and Houston while World Series Game 5 was happening between Philadelphia and Houston. The Phillies and Astros, of course. It's been a cool middle of the series there in Philly. Philadelphia had 5 home runs in Game 3. Then Astros pitched a combined no-hitter in Game 4. The series is tied 2-2. And this Game 5 between Houston and Philadelphia is happening while Houston and Philadelphia happen to also be playing Thursday Night Football. Pretty crazy. Ultimately, the Astros win. The Phillies bats just couldn't catch up. It was top of the 9th, and you were thinking maybe there's going to be some heroics from the top of the order, but there wasn't. So the cheating Astros will go home 3-2, and who knows, Phillies will need a miracle to win 2 away games to win the World Series, so we'll see. Some of the Astros players obviously weren't there when they were cheaters, but it's annoying to see Altuve, who is a legit cheater. It sucks when good things happen to bad people. But Houston's punishment has and remains the Houston Texans, who, it just seems like a breeze on the schedule. Every time any team has the Texans, it's been that way now for 2-3 years almost. That last year with Watson, they were 4-12, so they weren't good either. Just something is wrong with that organization, and maybe it was Jack Easterby. That remains. They hired Jack Easterby, this executive vice president who had no football operations experience. He was a chaplain for the Patriots, and it just made absolutely no sense. If from the outside, it looks like he conned a new owner into believing that he was gonna bring some religious righteousness to the NFL, and it's just weird. But he's now gone, fired. Jack Easterby is, but he's left this Texans roster just has no teeth to it. And there's GM Nick Caserio now, and Lovie Smith is the most blah coach, but we'll see. We don't get a lot of chances to talk Texans on this show because they're rarely in a game that's worthy of being one of the 4 games we pick in the preview, and they rarely do anything on Sunday or Monday to be in on either of those episodes. But for the Texans, there could be something coming because Jack Easterby is fired. Damon Pierce, running back, looks great. Lots of draft capital coming up. Davis Mills not playing well, but even that's kind of good for the Texans. They can move on comfortably, saying, "Hey, we tried." And Mills, played okay, had some good throws today. He could have used Nico Collins today, or could have used Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks sitting outside. He's mad that he didn't get traded, and he posted, "Don't take him. Don't take Don't take my kindness for granted. I covered up for the lies for too long." What does that mean, Brandon Cooks? Tell us. All right. And Al Michaels, of course, on fire this year on Amazon. He does not sound like this is his best gig ever, but he had this one part where they're talking through they bring in the referee and analyst, and he's talking through all the steps of a catch, and the ball must survive the ground. And Al Michaels says, God willing, we should all survive the ground. Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. This show is football everything. NFL history, legacy, the ups and downs of a season. Follow us at MUK_football on Twitter, at MUK_football on Twitter. But more importantly, subscribe, share, review on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts. We got shows Thursday after Thursday Night Football, Sunday after Sunday Night Football, Monday after Monday Night Football. And it is time to preview Week 9. We're going to pick 4 games, pick the lines. It's upon us. My record through 8 weeks is 19-13 against the spread after yet another 2-2 week. So let's get to the first game. The Los Angeles Chargers go driving down to Georgia. Oh, wait. This is the Gladys Knight song, right? L.A. proved too much for the man, too much for he couldn't make it. So yeah, just picture Justin Herbert on the train platform there. He's leaving on a midnight train to Georgia to play the Falcons. And hopefully I don't remember what else happens in that song, but I know he leaves from LA to Georgia and that she goes with him. But anyway, back to football. This is an interesting matchup. It could have been a real interesting matchup, the Chargers at the Falcons, because it's kind of like a battle of opposites in terms of the way they fit together, the puzzle pieces of this matchup, because the Falcons, they love to run the ball, whether it be Mariota himself or Algiers, Huntley, formerly Cordarrelle Patterson, but he's on the IR. And the Chargers have struggled to stop the run. I mean, that was their biggest weakness last year. And unfortunately, that continues to be their big weakness in the first half of 2022. I thought that they were going to correct that in my preview. Though, remember, when everyone else was picking Chargers to win the Super Bowl, I picked the under on them in my Chargers preview because I said, this always happens forever. The Chargers disappoint. But the reason I say it could have been more like a puzzle piece too is because the Falcons love to run the ball and the Chargers can't stop the ball. Meanwhile, the Chargers, they have so many weapons and the Falcons secondary is so banged up. It would have been, a battle of strength versus weakness on both sides of the ball. But I don't know if that's really true because the Chargers players in true Charger fashion are also hurt. Mike Williams got hurt on a late play right before the bye. Keenan Allen has had a setback. So it's really just Austin Eckler and a bunch of guys, and then that just ridiculous dink and dunk offense that Joe Lombardi's got Justin Herbert in. And I don't know, maybe it's Joe Lombardi, maybe it's Brandon Staley, maybe it's just the personnel. But it's frustrating to watch. Brandon Staley on the hot seat, to be honest. Just not making the most of those perceived stars. Okay, so this game, the Chargers are favored by 3. That surprises me. That really surprised me with how disappointing they've been. And the Falcons, maybe people are perceiving their win over Carolina as lucky, but I don't think so. The post Matt Rule Carolina Panthers, I think they were legit. Yes, the win was lucky, but I think for the Falcons, but I think it was lucky over a decent team rather than over what we even 4 weeks ago thought of the Carolina Panthers, if that makes sense. So it was a lucky win over a better team than it is perceived. I'm taking the Falcons, and I think that they will be in position with this win. So they're 4-4 right now. If they get this win, they'll be 5-4 in the driver's seat for the NFC South. That'll be quite interesting with Marcus Mariota there. All right, next game. The Los Angeles Rams travel to Tampa. LA. He's leaving on a midnight train to Tampa. Okay. The 3-4 Rams meeting the 3-5 Buccaneers. 2 NFC favorites that are preseason NFC favorites that are in a free fall. and potentially could take a step towards a lost season here with a loss. I mean, it's getting there. The sun's getting late. And it's kind of sad that this game is like that. You know, we got Tom Brady and Aaron Donald on the same field, historic players, but it's got more of a vibe of a, you know, Chiefs Joe Montana versus a Jets Ronnie Lott sort of thing. Great players, enjoy it while we can, but really not their primes. Though Aaron Donald's doing great, but this is not going to be a good year for the Rams, especially if Cooper Kupp is not out there. Had that garbage time ankle injury, which I gave Sean McVay loser of the week for keeping him in during garbage time. And even with Kupp, Stafford is not pushing the ball downfield because he's not right. They deny and deny and deny and act like asking about his injuries and his elbow injuries is like the dumbest thing in the world. Yet Stafford is clearly different. It's just whatever. Tom Brady needs help. He's not getting it. He's not able to carry a team anymore. The big name wide receivers are there, but they're not playing that well. They're not connected with him. The defense, the Tampa Bay defense that we thought starting the season is going to be a strength. Maybe poor old Brady can finally catch a break and be carried to a Super Bowl by his defense. Joking. But Brady is like the only thing working on the team, and he's not playing MVP Brady. So I think I'm losing hope for both of these teams. Whichever team wins will avoid the talk of a lost season, but for how long? For how long? Okay, Bucks are favored by 3, which as a Rams fan has to have you worried. Like, how bad are we? Gosh, the Rams burned me for this same thing, but I'm going to do it again. Even though the Rams gave up a hat trick to McCaffrey, you know, a 49er McCaffrey and all that stuff, I feel like that was a scheme thing, an out-coaching thing. There's only one good unit out of these 4, you know, the Bucks offense, Bucks defense, Rams offense, Rams defense. Rams defense is the only unit of those 4 that has shown any spark this season. I'm going to take the Rams because of that to cover this 3 and either cover the 3 or win the game. All right, next game. Sunday Night Football. The Titans go into Arrowhead Stadium, into Kansas City. They are 12.5-point underdogs. A lot of that is dependent. I imagine that line will move if we hear for sure that Ryan Tannehill will be playing. So we'll see what happens. I originally had actually marked this game down when the 2022 schedule came out, because I thought this is a perfect time, early November, for the run versus pass philosophy battle, because the great running teams, all the best running teams, they lose in the playoffs just easily. They meet a good passing team and they're done. And then the great passing teams, you know, they are always just like not in sync early in the year. So we see these like, you know, these week 6 battles and the run game is just running all over them and the pass game can't do anything, and it's frustrating. So this is the perfect time. This is where both the run and the pass game are equally, you know, there's no real story or narrative around this. I have no stats to back any of this up. This is just what I thought. It was a nice neutral time for this battle of philosophies. Pat Mahomes versus Derrick Henry, right? And Derrick Henry, I had said he doesn't look the way that he looked in his 2019-21 dominance, and I stand by that. I don't think he looks as good as he looked in the previous 2.5 years yet. He's got the Hank Aaron 755 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns. I mean, I'm happy for the guy. I really think Derrick Henry is solidifying a Hall of Fame resume right now. Candidacy that I would love to go into more at another time, but I mean, if it's Malik Willis, there's no chance. There's absolutely no chance against Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid coming off a bye. So this is a tough game to pick. 12.5 points, though. I mean, that's for all the reasons I just said. That's why it's 12.5. Oh, okay. I don't know. What are the rules here? Am I allowed to say if Tannehill with 1 pick and no Tannehill with another pick? Well, let's see. I make the rules. Let me think on it. Let me deliberate. No, I can't do that. No. I got to pick. I have to make the pick now. thinking of my inner Kirk. He would say that. So with Tannehill's status up in the air, I'll say this. I think Tannehill plays, maybe not well, but I think that the Titans will get a boost from Tannehill playing. There'll be a baffling series of events that somehow the Titans always pull off. Good coaching from Mike Vrabel, and they will cover the 12.5. But they will lose. They will lose to the Chiefs for sure. But I think they're going to cover the 12.5. If Tannehill doesn't play, then I just set that pick on fire. All right, next game. Monday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens travel to New Orleans. He's leaving for Baltimore, leaving on a midnight train, New Orleans. Looks like another game where the Ravens will have to put up the Lamar signal into the sky, like Batman up in the moon, and hope for Lamar heroics. So Rashad Bateman's out for the season. That sucks. Mark Andrews may be out for this game. So, once again, Lamar, as he has through much of his Ravens run, he either has one good weapon or no good weapons. It's never like an arsenal. And that's even hurt even more because, the offense, the way it's designed by Greg Roman, is designed to devote resources to the run game. People always say, why can't they pass if they can run so well? They can run so well because they're kind of devoting an extra guy to the run game, all the time, And, but that's Lamar. Lamar is so great as a runner, and it's just one of the best things to watch in the NFL right now. And this is a nice, comfortable dome in the Saints. Now, if the Saints hadn't just shut out the Raiders, we'd be saying the Saints defense isn't playing well, because for 7 weeks they weren't. But then they shut out the Raiders in week 8. It's kind of weird. I think that was probably more Raiders than Saints. And the Saints offense, they've been plucking along, and they'll make this a game. Andy Dalton's a starter, living in a symbiotic relationship with Taysom Hill. Ooh, and this is kind of the season for the Saints too. They're 3-5. The Falcons are winning games. Ravens favored by 2.5. Okay. Probably because of injuries. I would think that would be a higher line. I'll take Lamar. I'll take Lamar in a nice warm dome with his skills, and going into the bye after this, they have had kind of a mini bye. They played Thursday, rested up. Yeah, I'll take Lamar and go from there. All right. Well, that is the show. I didn't know I would have time for this, but I posted on Twitter. Ray Guy, punter for the Raiders, passed away today at 73. Just a great player, a punter who, whenever you talk about an all-time NFL team, Ray Guy is always the punter. And I remember that from when I was a kid in the 90s. You'd create your perfect team and Ray Guy would be your punter. And just a great player. He was the secret sauce for the 70s Madden Raiders, and he was there for that Super Bowl that John Madden won in 76. And then he kept punting for the Raiders all the way through their LA, their Los Angeles era, where they won Super Bowls. They won the 1980 Super Bowl, and then they won the 1983 Super Bowl in LA. And, just saying, the Raiders have never won a Super Bowl without Ray Guy. So draw your own conclusions. All right. We'll be back Sunday to talk about Week 9. Good night.